Having said that, Mr. Speaker, it is a pity, 60 years after independence, with the blood of Samoei Olekoitalel, the land that was grabbed and stolen from the Africans of this country is still owned by the same thugs who stole it. And today, the poverty-stricken sons and grandsons and granddaughters of the same people who fought for this country are begging those multinationals to give them jobs that pay menial amounts of money, and in the court process, those girls are being raped. Mr. Speaker, not yet Uhuru. Anybody who thinks that we got independence, we never got independence. Our independence is just symbolic. This country, where the Maasais who lost millions of acres have their land occupied by families, 150,000 kilometers of land is a ranch somewhere in Laikipia. The Delemayas have what you call, I don't know, 600,000 or 1 million acres. Everybody else has those millions, and the poor guys are grazing their cows in our towns and in our cities because they don't have any place to graze them. This government, Mr. Speaker, if it's not ready, as it calls itself the Hustler Nation, to go and make a compulsory acquisition of all these lands and distribute to the same farm workers who are being raped and harassed and given menial jobs and living a life of destitution, if it's not given to it, then it does not justify to be called a Hustler Nation. Mr. Speaker, if somebody comes to this country and says that he's going to have a new land policy, which is going to reward the Mau children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, the people who died for us, what does Dedan Kimathi have in the form of a land today? Everything is owned by the collaborators. And a house like this and the subsequent governments have been sanitizing that. Today, we are talking about companies that own 200,000 acres of tea farms. And we're begging them not to rape our girls who are earning 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. And the land belonged to their own ancestors who fought. Otherwise, you'd all be slaves in somewhere in Mississippi and California and God knows where, if it is not for those Maasais and those Kalenjins who fought those days and made sure that those people do not make any inroads into this country. And the same slave owners, same imperialists who did what they did to us, still own the land the way they want it. And the whole games, they have what you call everywhere. Look at the ranches and the way they run them in there, in the form of families, when the indigenous owners of this land are not there anymore. I know if a Mugabe comes into this country and asks Kenyans to support him, Del Monte, look at it, 990-something thousand acres, what do you call years? What kind of a lease is called 990-something? Who made the laws? Who was consulted? Were we consulted as Africans when they were legislating on our lands? They came and colonized us. They held us against our wish and our will. And then they own the land, the prime land right now. And the only Africans who are very happy are those ones who had access to government those days and were given millions of acres, and they are going to protect them because they are exactly like them. They are exactly like them. These families, African families who are holding millions of acres, that land must be reclaimed and redistributed to the real sons and daughters of this land who fought for the future of this, who fought for the independence we enjoy, who fought the fact that we are not slaves, we are not taken as slaves in Dutch or whatever it is, to Carolinas and the West Indies and South America, God knows what. Mr. Speaker, it is a pity. And I think that earlier this House, listen to me, members of Parliament, I just don't want you to applaud. I want you to make the right legislative decisions to reclaim all those lands and ask them to pay us compensation for all the exploitation they have been doing for the last 100 years. They exploited, they don't have to be paid for it. They don't have to be paid for it. And the African landowners who inherited the whites and are masters right now, owning millions of acres, must redistribute that land to the people whose fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers fought for this land's change. Mr. Speaker, we need to have a country in which, as a legislature, we want
Please give him 1 minute.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, and I'm imploding. I'm pleading with you, members of parliament. I'm pleading with you, my brothers and sisters. I've been in this house 30 years ago, and I'm still there, and we're still suffering the way we were suffering 30 years ago. Some of these are historical injustices. That's why nobody wants to see the Ndungu Commission, what they call implemented. Nobody wants to see the TJRC report implemented. Nobody wants. South Africans go there, make a deal with the whites out there, and the rest of us, the 50 million today. Before we were only 7 million, 8 million. Today we're 50 million. The 50 million are basically paupers, and we only have 50 billionaires in this country who are Africans, or they have stolen from us. So what we need to do as a house, somebody must bring a bill that says that there has to be a compulsory acquisition to have a new land policy for this country to reward the landless who cannot even get a, what do you call, a 6x5 where they can be used for a grave for themselves.
We have Honorable Farah, you have spoken very well on this matter, and we added you 1 minute. Please allow the other members also to speak on this, so that, okay, because of public demand, we add you 1 more minute, please.
Can I have my mic? I will keep it. I will be impressed with the fact that you are proud of what I'm saying if you tomorrow come to my office and we decide making a bill that is going to make a compulsory acquisition of that land to be redistributed to the landless people. And if you're not alone, I want us all, this house has got to change the future of this country. Point of order? Okay.
You may take your seat.
Yes.
Point of order, Honorable Millie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for